So today, I figured I would show you through, or take you through a project that I made and share it with you. So I'll also be giving you the full Ableton project, which you can do whatever you want with it. It's Creative Commons copyright, so as long as you're not selling it or making money off of it, do whatever you want with it. There's an empty spot in the middle of the song, so post a guitar solo or do some vocals or whatever. Post it to your social media. Yeah, like I said, as long as you're not making money off of it, it is basically free to use. Do whatever you want with. Also, for those of you who are trying to practice actually mixing and stuff like that, you'll be able to mix. You could take off all the processing that I did, which is very minimal on here, which we'll go through all of that. There's that two good sayings, those that teach can't do. So I want to show you what I do. Make sure we're not falling into that category. And a little less thunder with the mouth, a little more lightning with the hands. So main thing with this channel was to get you up and running, making music in cool ways, so I've got to start getting at that as well. So let's dive in, and we're going to take a listen to the track first. You can skip that, and we can dive into there'll be a watermark you can jump to. But I encourage you just to listen to the track. I've got a couple questions here for active listening exercises. How many guitar tracks do you think there are? How many rhythm guitar tracks? How many lead guitar tracks? How is that bass being recorded? Like, listen to that stuff. I mean, do you think it's like a DI? Do you think it's processed? Do you think it's a bit of a blend? Where do you think those drums are coming from? Take a moment, write those things down, listen to the song. And then once you're done listening to it, come on back. We're going to jump right in and go through the whole track and answer those questions and show you how I did what I did. And maybe you like it, maybe you don't, maybe you learn something, but hey, we'll keep this thing moving forward. So yeah, let's take a look here. All right. All right, so now we are jumping into the project. So this is going to be the second playthrough. I will talk and stop through a couple things. It is just Superior Drummer. I use a lot of the MIDI packs, which are awesome if you just need to get a project done. I highly recommend getting those MIDI packs from Superior Drummer. They're very useful. And a mix of me also playing some things in. My process is just super slow, so it just really helps to have those MIDI packs. The bass, obviously, and all the guitars, totally recorded quad Cortex. I know this is going to probably like piss people off. Like, why is your bass in stereo? It's dual mono, I guess, and I'm just lazy. It's the same exact signal, but the way my routing works with everything, it just makes it a lot easier. This is a mono track. It's just the same thing on each side. So actually, it's happening all the time. So whenever I switch on like stereo effects, I can just not have to worry about it. That's probably going to be confusing to some folks. It might upset some other folks. But if you pick up what I'm putting down, what matters is you're just getting a piece of music done, right? There's no right or wrong way to do this. There's no rules. But yeah, these are all dual mono, except for the lead, because that part I put on a ping pong delay from the quad Cortex. which I love. I think it sounds great. And so that way, whenever I hit my stereo effects, they're captured, but my guitar parts are still the same. Sometimes that's just what I want to do. So anyway, we'll jump right in here. First thing, with Superior Drummer, we can, if I knew how to, oh, wait, hang on. All right, there we go. All right, just got lost a little bit. That's okay, we're back. So with Superior Drummer, it's really just a kit that I've messed around with based off of the Gent kit that was already in there. Nothing too crazy. Honestly, I just pulled things a lot, really just minimized the kit. Picked the toms I dug, the cymbals I liked, changed some things in the mixer. Really nothing crazy. Their presets are pretty solid, so I would definitely check them out. Sometimes you just got to mess with some of the EQs. Like I felt like the kick had a little bit too much high end, so I just pulled that back. So basically, I mean, just my own kit, started from a preset, changed a couple things. I like it. Into the Supercharger GT, which is, I'm honestly not much. This is one of the main reasons why I use Ableton, is because the plugins in here are just solid. But the Supercharger, man, it just always works so good on drums. So if we just solo this and you just like listen to what this is doing. Here's it on. Here's it off. Off. Now on. It just really adds, I'm not sure if you're going to hear that over the phone, but if you're like on something that's got a significant presence on the low end, you can hear like it just fattens up the kick and the snare. And also kind of just tightens everything up. So I really love the Supercharger GT. I mean, like, you could literally see that like my settings are pretty much just adding some character, and that's pretty much it, fully wet. So that's, here, we pull that over here so you can actually see it. Really, it's just this character knob. Listen to that kick and snare. There we go. Off. On. It just really fattens up the kick and the snare, glues everything down a little bit better together for the drums. I really try not to like fall in love with like particular plugins, but this one is just like, it just sounds good. And it's easy to use. One knob for the most part, compression, you know. And then an EQ, really just to cut out some of the low end that you just don't need. I didn't really do anything else here. And then cut off a little bit of the high end just to try to kind of tame the high end down a bit. As for the bass, it's really just really aggressive on the low cut here, scooping out a little bit of the mids. Mainly one of the things I've noticed, particularly with like down-tuned guitar stuff, is that you can get really flubby really quick. So one of the things I do is I do that low cut, and I keep moving the low cut up until I feel like it's taking away the character. Right, you want to really clean that up. It's something I really struggled with like playing like 8-string guitar and stuff like that. Then you'd be surprised how much harder your bass can hit. Like most speaker systems don't even go below like 80 hertz. Like consumer stuff is like 120 if you're looking at like a speaker box or something like that floating around. A good pair of headphones, maybe like 50, 40 maybe. But a lot of that's like artificially boosted. So if you can get your bass to hit without hitting those sub frequencies, you're probably doing a good job. At least that's my approach. So we could solo the bass, and you can still hear it has plenty of body. We take that EQ off. It's just a lot of flub down there, and that's just you don't lose a lot of character by cutting that out, but what you do get is you get some more headroom. Because that fundamental's still there, and you'd be surprised. All that stuff will add up. So low cuts and high cuts is probably something you'll see on like almost every track of mine, mainly because if that energy doesn't really need to be in the track, getting it out clears everything up a lot better. And then there's just a little bit of compression because I already had some compression coming out of the quad cortex, so it was already hitting pretty solid on levels, but we can watch this compressor. I just wanted to smooth everything out. Even this is just a super small amount of compression. Can't even really hear. Some people do like tons of plugins. My main goal, I'm a minimalist. Like I want this to sound good right off the bat. and then have to do like minimal stuff to it to kind of get together. And I feel like this track did a good job of that. Like towards the end with the big old, like it's surprising that it's only 2 rhythm tracks, hard panned left and hard panned right. I know some people are probably still pissed off about my dual my recording scheme, but we can talk about that. So we'll go to the rhythm guitars, which again, I mean, all we're doing is cutting the lows. Anyway, so this is strange because I know I'm using 2 EQs and doing a low cut here, but you can actually hear and this is one of the weird things, is that you would think like with the EQ3 doing a low cut, there's still some low frequency information coming through, and even if I toggle this, even though this cut is coming afterwards, even if I toggle this before, you will start to hear a difference, even though that this is cutting already below it, which I think is interesting, but it's just, you know, I cut a little bit and then I wanted something a little more precise, so I got the EQ8 out. And then I just left it, you know? It's like, is there another way of doing that? Absolutely. But you know what? It's done and it's working, so just don't touch it. Just move on to the next thing. It worked, so next. Try not to think about it too much. So all the reverb that you're hearing in there is coming out of the room from the Quad Cortex. That's the Quad Cortex room reverb. The Quad Cortex is just going straight into Ableton and his recording. So I would change like some like reverb settings and stuff like that here on the Quad Cortex, and then pretty much for the most part just use Ableton as like a tape machine. And then once everything's recorded, then you start kind of doing the editing stuff. And then really the last thing is just the lead guitars, which again in the beginning here, all the guitars are using the Kraken, the Victory Super Kraken capture that I have. I've made a video about that. You can check that out. It's pretty cool. That IR is up, and I got to tell you, I absolutely love it. It has been my main sound for ever since we did that. So I don't see myself changing anytime soon. So the beginning of this, Super Kraken does amazing blues cleans as well as just like ripping leads and rhythms. So I just it serves my purpose for everything, and the capture in my Cortex is a godsend. So the beginning part here is just what do you call it? The blues stuff. It's nice. You can hear some of the other strings bouncing around in there. It's funny. Same thing. It's just EQ8. Just cut out the low information that I don't need. Everything else just fit right where I wanted it to. Fatted right where I wanted it to be. That's a past tense of fit, I guess, in my mind. Anyway, same thing with the lead, the top lead here. I don't know why this is even in here, so we're gonna go ahead and see. I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. We just don't even need that. There's a ton of errors. There's a ton of things could have been a different way, but you know, I mean, that's art. If you turn it into a science and make everything have to be in a particular place, it's a different adventure. But I guess, I mean, you do whatever you want. You know, I just want to be happy when I'm doing it. So really, the last thing is just the lead part, and you know, this is the most like I mean, I love progressive rock, and this is like the most unprogressive thing I chose to do was like. I love that part, and I just wanted to repeat it a lot because the whole idea of the song was like, you know, witnessing something that's so beautiful that you know is going to end, but you just kind of want to continue basking in that moment. And I think it bared repeating. So how do you break that up? The first time it kind of breaks down, and you get the drum doing the hi-hat and there's like some hi-hat movement and some ride stuff and some ghost notes on the snare kind of breaking it up, and then it brings back around. And really the drums drive the majority of the groove of the last part of the song, if you can call it a song. Super short, but really, last thing to listen to here is just the lead guitar. Again, Super Kraken into just a ping pong delay, all coming out of the Quad Cortex. And as you can see here on the session, it's It's just low cut. That's all we did to it to get it in there. So let's take a listen. Man, it doesn't even sound that good by itself. You know what I'm saying? Almost all of these, like, it kind of like when you listen to them, you're like, that's okay. We listen to the main lead line here too, really quick. That was the harmony part we just listened to. That's nasty. There's a ton of mistakes. Like if you go around like listening to like these takes, you're like, oh, it sucks at playing guitar. Honestly, just kept moving forward. And I was like, it's good. And then everything kind of came together, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to have to like perfectionize this whole thing. I was like, it is what it is. So I'm just gonna put it up. So by all means, this rhythm part here in the middle. Grab your guitar, jump on in there. I'm going to upload this to, there's some links down below. So if any of this was useful for you, let me know. If any of it wasn't, let me know. I will definitely take feedback both ways, good and bad. So hopefully you learned something. Really, my whole process is minimalistic. Get something to sound great. Just tighten up things in post and try to have a good composition. Highly encourage you to play with this as well. Jump on in there, make a guitar solo, put some vocals on it, do something, share it, tag me in it. Love to hear what you're doing, and we'll see you in the next one.